Welcome to part 16 of my Hello Map creation tutorial. Alright, so in the previous tutorial, just a really quick recap, we fixed the smoothing once again, and we applied two distinctive test materials. And I did say that I was going to do just a little bit of editing with some of the surface textures, which I have done. Nothing complex. Go ahead and check out the previous video if you're a little bit confused. But it really just consisted of me adding, changing the material ID of some of these smaller cliff portions that we have here. And I also did the same thing for these spindly kind of things. I created them and I don't have a name for them, so. Alright, so since we're moving ever closer to getting this in-game, as a test environment, I wanted to speak a little bit about skyboxes and the role of a skybox. Now, a skybox is essentially a group of planes, or a group of surfaces applied to your mesh, or applied to a few surfaces of your mesh, and these surfaces in question, when they have the sky material applied, which I'll show you how to make in a few moments, those surfaces then act as a projection for the physical sky in-game to be projected from. So those areas which you set your sky material on is pretty much where you're going to get a sky appearing in-game. Now, a skybox generally consists of something like this. So if we grab in border mode this open border at the top of our map, we hit W and we extrude that like so, and then we'll go into our align panel and align that on the Z axis to make that completely flat. And then what I'm going to do is oh well, it doesn't matter. If we just right click and hit cap, then that polygon will have been capped. And remember, because we're viewing everything from the inside out, we have to go inside our model to see if that's an actuality, and it is. As you can see, before, after, and basically these surfaces which I extruded and the edges which I just capped, these are the portions which are going to act as a sky. Now there are a few rules when you're setting your sky up. Number one, it's not very wise to have two spots. Well, no, sorry, not two spots, but it's not very wise to have a sky at the top of your map and then a sky at the bottom, like somewhere there, as well as there. That usually will throw up an error there when you come to compile your BSP. But it's okay to have, distinctive portions of your map which have a sky material applied to them, just as long as they stay on one sort of level. So just as long as they stay on one orientation and they're not all over the map. Second thing is, as I mentioned before, you can kind of create a sky box this way, or alternatively, if we just hit Control Z, go back a few spaces, and if we just capped this off, this whole polygon off, like so, we could create a skybox literally by creating a box over our BSP, like so. And then if we hit Object Properties, enable Backface Cull, convert this to an editable polygon, select all our faces and flip them, then it is feasible to use a skybox in this sense, so long as that, number one, the skybox itself is completely open edge free, so it follows the sealed world rules, and your BSP itself has to follow the sealed world rules also. And you can also, go ahead and apply a few sky materials at the top of your BSP, but there really isn't that much point of doing that. You can leave it as it is, so long as it is sealed. But it's going to be pretty dark inside your BSP unless you change some of the parameters in the game. So that's the second way you can create a skybox. Third way is what I've just really shown you, to be honest. Instead of extruding polygons like I just did, you can choose to just cap the top of your map off, like so. If your map looks a little bit like mine in its design, then what you have to do is you have to be very careful, because occasionally you'll run it, since this is not a flat surface. What we're going to have to do is select the top of our map, the plane which we just capped in polygon mode, and use the inset vertex or vertice to place a single vertex which is attached to that plane up top. And in vertex mode, we're going to grab that vertex and push it up like so. So it creates sort of a tent effect. You have to be very careful though when you're using this method, because it's very easy, especially if you have a lot of edges in your edges and verts in the design of your map. They can be easy to have overlapping faces and edges. So just try and be aware of that. So good candidate for what I've just said would be this portion here. If this vertex was a little more out, like so, then we would have overlapping faces like so. So I don't really like to use that method in a style of BSP like so. If I had a few less edges and verts making up the border region of my map, then I would use that method. But for me, we're going to be using the old extrude up, align it on the Z, we'll cap it, and then we'll place a single vertex in the middle of our map in polygon mode, roughly in the middle. So I'm going to right click all these spinners, and then that will be appropriated in the middle, apart from the orientation on the top. Then I'm going to push that vertex up, and from here what we can do, another rule for skyboxes is that it's probably best if you keep the overall detail count, of your skybox fairly low, because this isn't going to affect the aesthetics of the actual sky in game. Remember, these are just surfaces from where the sky will be projected through in game. So I'm just going to grab those verts and collapse them. And I'm going to do that really pretty much all through our map. So here, here, and here, and here. If I make sure I have a vertex dividing those selections, otherwise I will collapse together. Like so. That's what I wanted. Collapse those. Collapse those. And I'm using the repeat last function, which basically selects the applies the same operation which you previously applied. Saves us from right clicking and doing all that stuff. Try and be aware again of any overlapping or interceding edges, faces, and verts. That sounds a bit ambitious, but it's okay. Remember, we can do this to our skybox because it's not going to affect the aesthetics of our map. However, if we did this here, then yes, we would be able to see that, since this portion compromises the actual cliffs and not the areas where the physical part of our BSP, and not the sky portion. I should point out that this is still using the same level material which we have here and here, so we wouldn't have a sky projected through here at all until we actually apply material, which I'll show you in a second. We're just going to finish collapsing all of these vertices, and it's up to you how far you go with this. It doesn't really matter. You could end up with 4 points making up this portion if you wanted to, so long as there were no, again, overlapping features. And remember, the reason why Halo doesn't like overlapping features is because it then becomes quite confusing to create the collision for the map. No. Right, there we go. Okay, with that done, I'm going to hit F to go into my front view. Then I'm going to hit Z and deselect, and then hit Z again. Alright, now I'm going to hit 4, go into polygon mode, drag a fairly random selection box just over the areas of our BSP which I know are going to make up the sky. Oh, it's probably best to uncheck ignore backfacing when you do this. So we'll do that again. There we go. Make sure that you have non-even surfaces of your physical BSP selected. These are all just going to be the portions which are going to act as a sky. And we can now go ahead and give them a material ID of 3, since 1 and 2 are being filled up by our textures. Before we do that, let's go ahead and make that change in the material editor, since we only have 2 materials there. So let's add another material. Alright, and set the shader name for this material to plus sky. It must be exactly the way that I've just typed it in there, plus sky. And you can make the color for this any color you wish. I usually make mine something which will stand out just so I can see it. So my favorite for skies are purple. This color has nothing to do with anything in game, it's just for viewing purposes inside the DS Max. So remember, add the plus sky in the shader slot, any color you want. You could leave it default if you wanted to, and then show shaded mapping viewport, go to parent, then set these faces to material ID of 3. There we go. Wonderful. And now we have our sky. Right, so that's going to do it for this tutorial. And once again, I forgot to save, so I'll do that now. Save this as 16. And in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get this in game. Actually, I think we'll have to do a few final preparations, like adding a reference frame, doing a little bit of error checking, and then we'll get this in game and see how it functions. as an environment. So thank you for watching, and I will see you